Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody, no matter where or when you are. Thank you very much for joining me today. Do men owe anything to a society that hates them? Recently, I'm going to talk about the incident that happened on a train in the UK, where one man with a blade was able to attack 10 different people and send most of them to the hospital. Thankfully, no lives were lost. But it does bring up a question when you look at the camera footage and some of the incidences afterwards. It makes me wonder, this could have probably, I don't want to say easily been resolved, but there were at least, 10 or 15 guys around that probably could have stopped the incident. And it makes me wonder, should they have? Should they have actually jumped in and intervened and tried to take the guy out before he could do any harm to anybody else? And then the question that I have to kind of ask myself, and I'm sure many of you ask yourselves the same question, like when you see incidences that happen with Daniel Penny or other guys that are out there trying to do the public some good, the question comes up, well, yeah, but why should I? I risk getting arrested. I risk being socially ostracized, millions of dollars in debt to defend myself, all for a lot of people that don't really like me or like what I do. And I have several stories and examples that I'm gonna show today. But I think this comes from deep down, men are just. Men like a just society, a society that is filled by laws, a society that is filled with law, and most of us try to obey those laws. And when somebody breaks the law, we hold them accountable and make them pay for it. And if you try to protect people, and even if you may be scraping on the edges of the law, at least in a just society, you'd give that person a break because at least their intentions were good and they were trying to do the right thing. And secondly, I think this is doubly in effect when it comes to somebody trying to harm women or children or defenseless animals, puppies and cats and kittens and all the rest of it. Men are very quick to jump on the, hey, I got to save this. I got to save this person. I got to stop this from happening because we know at least we're definitely stronger than women, definitely stronger than young people. We're, maybe practiced in getting in scrapes and fights a little bit. And we've probably got a better odds of doing something rather than the woman or the kid involved at least. And so you say, I got to do something about this. I want to protect those around me. But then when they turn around and sue you or the police come after you or something else, it does make it to where men second guess themselves and say, do I really owe anything to a society that hates me? I've got a couple examples today that I'll go over, but the first one I wanted to talk about, and this is in England, there was a guy that got on a train with a blade and he tried to go after 10 people on the train. Turns out the previous day, he'd gone after a 14-year-old young man and had sent him to the hospital, and they didn't catch him. And then after this, he started to get into some more trouble with the law and doing things. And so all of this could have been probably stopped the day before it even happened if somebody had seen him and actually stopped him. For those of you just listening, this is CCTV footage, closed circuit television footage. And I'm not going to play the whole thing, but if you're just listening or if it's hard for you to see, there's 16 people here running away from the guy after he was going crazy on the train. And even the train conductor here is backing up away from him, walking away as he comes into camera here. And you can see him walking through the parking lot here. And with 16 guys, I know I was a military police officer. We've had to engage with people that are kind of crazy like this. And 2 or 3 cops pretty easily take down a guy like this, even if he does have the instrument like this guy does, because you get one person, in each side of him. If there's 2 of you, or if there's 3 of you, you triangulate around him, and he can really only face one of you at a time. And if you can get close enough to him and you bum rush him, you can get a bear hug around his arms. And from that point, there's not much he can do. If you've got something in your hand, this is a little remote control, if your sides are pinned, the most you're going to do is wave it around like this because you can't raise it over your head and do something. And I think that the first part of my reaction is, like most men, I need to do something. I need to stop this from happening. I need to protect people. But then the rest of it floods in, which is, what if I'm the only one that goes after him and nobody else has my back? What if, and then it could be the end of me. You know, there was the young American that was, I think, in Germany, and he got his face messed up because he tried to protect a gal. And in the end, the guy that they ended up arresting, they ended up releasing him. And then later on, they came back and they said, well, we better charge him with something because this news story has traveled all over the world. What if you risk yourself and the end result is he's back out on the street in a couple days? There's actually some incidences of this happening. So if you know, we say strong men or weak men make bad times, well, I definitely feel we're in some bad times. I definitely feel there's a lot of weak men out there. But what about the strong men out there? Is there a reason to be a strong man, especially when you've got women against you in many cases? I've got an article where a man saved a woman, and she was very upset with him for doing it. There's another one where a guy was sued for it. What if the police come after you for it? I'll go down through and we'll see example after example. But at what point, even if you are that strong man that wants to make better times, do you say, you know something, this isn't exactly worth it for me? I want to specifically talk about this guy. This is the guy's name was, he was from Peterborough. Let me see if I can remember what his name is. His name was Anthony Williams, 32 years old, from Peterborough. And of course, you know, that was the news article saying that he's been arrested. But the moment this guy storms into a barbershop after sticking a 14-year-old boy multiple times. So he enters a Peterborough barbershop moments after he went after a 14-year-old kid. The same man later accused of injuring 11 people in the Huntington train rampage. But watch, here he is at the back door. Again, if you're just listening, I'll describe everything that's going on. You can see what do they call it? What do the British call this? A bladed implement or whatever it is. He goes into the back of this barbershop, and here you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. You've got about 4 or 5 guys in here. This is just after he went after a kid, right? He comes in here, he lifts it up, the bladed article, and you see all 5 of these guys just running away. Now, this is the point where we start getting into a situation where you say, I'd do the same thing. I'm not going to play hero. I'm just going to try to get away from the guy. But what if one of these guys fell? What if one of these guys tripped and this guy went after him? Would you intervene if he was a customer of yours, if he was a friend of yours? Would you do something? A lot of times we're going to say, yeah, of course we would. But what if it was a stranger? What if you didn't know what was going on? What if you didn't know if someone was going to have your back? Do you still jump in and intervene? The guy had already gone after a 14-year-old kid, sent him to the hospital. Had these guys done something, grabbed him, tackled him, held him down, maybe the other 10 people, maybe this guy would have been in jail for, I don't know, maybe some period of time. Now, again, it's the UK, so then you have to ask yourself, maybe he would have been released immediately, and the guys that tackled him would have gone to jail. This is what happens when the police state gets kind of crazy and wonky and everything gets weird. You don't know where your legal liabilities are, but if these guys had stopped him, well, then there'd be 10 other people that are safe. And I'm not doing this video to try to say that men should have done something or we need to do something, because, again, there's the Daniel Penny, which happened in New York City, you know, where he tried to do the right thing. The guy ended up expiring, and he ended up going to prison and having to defend himself for millions of dollars over the course of the next year, where people were hating him. Politicians were calling him a racist, horrible person. At what point do we say, you know what, even we need strong men to save this society? I think I'm a strong man, but you guys don't want us to do anything about it. You want us to stand aside. You vote for things like this. I'm just going to stay out of the way and let it rot. That's what it feels like a lot of times. This is another incident. This gentleman here, the bald-headed gentleman in the black shirt, Here you've got a guy that grabs him, pushes him out of the way, and gets in a confrontation with him. And he's having an argument here. And as the argument ends, somebody noticed, hey, that guy has a pocket. He's got a pocket bladed instrument, as the British like to call it. And this guy that was having this confrontation, he's not bald, I'm sorry. He has a little bit of hair on his head. As he was in the confrontation, he didn't realize that he was seconds away from maybe getting stuck. Should he have not said anything? Should he have not confronted the guy that was pushing people around on the subway and moving and being aggressive? Should he have just kept his mouth shut? He would have been safe if he did that, but maybe later on this afternoon, maybe he could have gone on to do something bad to somebody. And here's an incident where a guy did stop somebody from doing something, and he's the one that ended up getting arrested. This black gentleman that's standing here has got his hand on the jacket of this guy sitting down. They say a man got caught trying to touch an underage girl on the bus. Cops arrested the guy standing up for the young lady because he was being aggressive to the guy that was doing inappropriate things. And you'll see here.
You hear me? No, don't touch her again. Don't touch her again. He was touching a little girl, and I defended her.
And what happened? They arrested the guy because he had the audacity to punch and restrain the other guy to keep her away from the young woman. Here's another example. A man saves a woman who was playing with her phone. She was paying attention to her phone, and she almost walked out into traffic. And the guy grabbed her before she did. Then she sued him.
A man saved a woman who was on the verge of being hit by a car, but was charged with sexual harassment because he made inappropriate contact with her. Police in Los Angeles said 32-year-old Daniel Reed noticed Jessica Moore stepping into the street while looking at her phone. A car was racing toward her seconds away from impact. Daniel reacted instantly, grabbing her and pulling her out of the way just before the vehicle passed. Surveillance footage later confirmed that his actions had prevented a major accident. However, Jessica later filed a complaint stating that Daniel's actions were inappropriate and violated her personal boundaries. Her legal team argued that no one has the right to touch another person without consent, even in an emergency situation. The case has triggered nationwide debate. Millions online argue that Daniel should be recognized for his quick thinking rather than punished for it. Others insist that physical boundaries must still be respected regardless of intent. Legal experts say the case will likely hinge on intent and public morality, raising questions about where the line should be drawn between consent and heroism. Daniel has maintained that his only intention was to save a life.
When we see things like this, it's definitely a moment where you say, you know something, I'm just going to look out for myself. I'm going to let the world burn, let it all burn down. But the problem is that if these things aren't stopped, if we don't stop the bad guys, if we just sit on our hands and do nothing, when we did have the opportunity, I don't know if I could sleep with myself at night. I genuinely don't, especially when it comes to a young person being involved or something like that. And I don't know if I could say, my gosh, if I had done something, one person or three or five, or in the case of the train, 10 people might not have had to have been hurt or in some cases, their life ending, that it is such a conflict of morality, at least in my opinion. Now I know some of you say, no, screw it, let it all burn down. I hear you, and I do understand what you're saying. I just don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I could just walk away knowing I could have stopped somebody from hurting someone. Here's a good case, and this is another instance. Let me full screen this so you guys can see it a little bit better. This is an instance where you have a security guard, an overweight female security guard, an overweight female cop, and a doughy-looking male cop standing around just watching a guy swing a shovel at passerbys. Now, you can see he's, if you're just listening again, he's got the shovel jacked over his shoulder like a baseball bat, and he's swinging it at anybody that comes near him. And again, you've got the Miss Doughy police officer. And now, are they going after the guy? No. Are they stopping him? No. Did they tase him? Nope. Mace, pepper spray, anything? No. They're just stopping people saying, careful, don't get too close. That's all they're doing. And here on the right side of the screen, again, I know this is very small. Maybe I'll zoom in after I edit this video. If you watch on the right side of the screen after he's done swinging it around at a bunch of people, in from the right comes a guy. He's 10 feet away from him. And when the guy's back, the guy with the shovel's back's turned, he just races in and tackles him. The shovel gets scooted aside. And now the police officers, Miss Thang and Miss Doughy Arms here, finally come in to do something. Now the police are brave enough to do something, you see. Before they weren't. These are the weak people that I'm talking about that make the bad times. Female police officers, overweight officers, people that are afraid to go after a guy with a shovel, even though they have multiple tools in their tool belt. And it just takes one bystander to say, you know what, I got this. And what did he do? He went in, tackled him. The police picked him up, said, okay, go on about your business. He did. He picked up the shovel and he walked away. He ended up walking to a shop and probably returned the shovel where it came from. He might have stopped an elderly woman from getting crowned in the head. Did he do the right thing? My answer is yeah, sure, especially if the cops aren't going to do anything. But here's the problem. You don't know if maybe somebody sues him. You don't know if maybe the cops decide to arrest him. We don't know. Another example. This is a migrant Somali forced their way into McDonald's in Dalston, East London, and go after an employee. And you can see this gal right here. She's laughing. I'm going to mute this just because you don't need to hear anything. But she's laughing and eating a. Yo. And here these guys are trying to come in the McDonald's, and you have one brave employee that decides to stand up and stop them from coming in to go after people. They force the doors open. The girl's just standing here, totally clueless, eating her food. The guys that are coming in slap the hat off of the employee, and he pushes back a little bit, and now what do you get? Nobody backed up this male employee. There's other male employees standing around. Nobody did. And so what happens? Now you got 7 or 8 guys busting through the door, chasing after the one employee that decided to stand up and protect people in the shop. You can see these other guys that are standing here. There's 2 more male employees right there. There's a couple of male patrons behind that. Nobody did anything. And so there's one guy that decided to stop things. He ends up getting chased off by 7 or 8 of these guys. This is the catch-22. It's like, I want to do the right thing. I don't know if anybody will have my back. There's a lot of other weak guys around me, or maybe there's other guys that are capable and would like to do something, but they worry about what the police are going to do, or if the law is going to come down on them because they have lighter skin than the criminal that was brandishing something or doing something. What do you do? And this is, I'm not trying to say I think you need to do X. This is one of those situations I genuinely don't know anymore. I think here in Tennessee, where I am, I have the right to defend myself even with a long-range hole puncher, and I can defend other people that are in imminent harm's way, right? I think it depends on where you live. Here, I'd be very happy to help people, and I probably would jump right in. But if I'm in New York City or some other place that because I'm a white male, I'm a bad guy, I don't know as I'd do anything. Do we stand up as strong men to protect those weaker than us? Or do we just say, you know something, a lot of you women vote for this. A lot of you are happy to have this happen. I'm just going to stand out of the way and let you do your thing. You go right ahead. I don't care. You wanted this, you got it. This is from the New York Post from just a couple of years ago, but the story is relevant. A woman was threatened by a homeless mugger, and there was a guy that decided, hey, I'm going to protect you. And yes, he had a long-range hole puncher, as we like to say on YouTube. And she said, I was terrified. Anyway, this guy was following her around. I'll just give you the quick synopsis. Guy was following her around. He trapped her, cornered her, and he said, give me some money. And when she said no, he said, I'll steal your bag. I'll grab you and I'll steal your bag. And a would-be good guy with a long-range hole puncher fired a warning round and said, stay away from her. And this, they go on to say this guy, Rorish, who's known to police and frequently pulling the scheme, allegedly made moves to snatch her bag when wrote 43, whipped out his hole puncher and let off several rounds, not in his general direction, just let off the rounds as warnings. And the guy ran off, and she said, well, I'm glad he did something, but I wish he didn't have to do it the way he did it. He scared me by doing that with a whole long-range hole puncher. So even though she's like, well, yeah, he's kind of a hero, but I wish he hadn't done it the way he did it. And what happened? Well, the guy with the long-range hole puncher is the one that got arrested. Now, the other guy, yeah, he got arrested, but he was let out of jail again the next day. The guy that actually tried to stop him, well, he got arrested. I won't read all the charges, but they're felonies, even though he had no prior arrests. And so they threw the book at this guy. And this is the X post that I saw this one on from the New York Post. And what are the replies on this? No good deed goes unpunished. So if I see a woman getting harmed, don't do anything and move along. Got it. Somebody else says, this is why good men do nothing these days. Some thanks, lady. Somebody else says, guess he should have just whipped out his phone and recorded it. Most of the posts in here are, hey, you know what? I guess women just want us to let them get fried. We should have just left her alone. Here's another example, right? This Romanian, he's stuck an 11-year-old girl in a random attack. He had the murder charge dropped. They just dropped it. They said, well, there's not enough proof here. And he ended up getting much lesser charges. I'm not even sure if, but this is just from a couple days ago. So we don't know what the final arraignment's going to be. He had most of the charges drop after he actually went after and attacked. They don't say how many times, but he stuck her in multiple times. 11-year-old young gal had most of the charges dropped. What's the point of helping people? What's the point of putting yourself at risk when they're just going to be back out on the street, able to do something again? Before I get into this last part, I'll sum up with everything that I've kind of going over here. When criminals are let out of jail almost instantaneously, even for some horrific things, do you risk yourself to stop them? Even if they're just going to turn around and be released, why would you put yourself in harm's way if they're just going to be right back out on the street the next day? Number two, do you stick your neck out when the law might actually punish you worse than they punish the criminals? I think the answer is pretty much no. But there are several instances where, for example, the one guy that tackled the guy with a shovel, he might have stopped somebody from getting brained in the head with a shovel, or if you get hit with a sharp edge of that shovel in the neck or in the face or something like that, it could end your life. It could do some serious damage. And he walked off without a scratch. Nobody bothered him. Police pulled him off the guy and then patted him on his way and told him to go on about. Police weren't doing anything. He stepped up, might have saved somebody. There's another video I came across. I don't think I saved it. Where a kid, he's 5 or 6 years old, and a stranger came up and grabbed the kid and was going to run off with him before the parents could even get out of their seats. And another good Samaritan put him in a chokehold and took him down. The kid was rescued. The cops showed up. They took the bad guy away, and the good guy just kind of got a handshake and walked off into the sunset, knowing he did a good deed. I think it really boils down to, are there other men around here that are going to watch my back and have my back? And on top of that, is law going to appreciate me helping them out? Or are they going to ostracize me as the bad guy because maybe my skin was a little bit lighter than the criminal who they ended up letting go? Maybe that's it. Maybe there's now some calculation you need to do before you actually help other people. Is that really where we are in this society? I actually think so. I really do think we're in that place. And I know me personally. If I did something and I got arrested and the criminal was out the next day, I'd say I shouldn't have done anything. Why did I mess up my life? Why did I ruin what's going on? I'm going to end up being financially bankrupt because I tried to save some stupid woman that didn't appreciate it. That's what I would think. But in the same token, if I did save the day and the cops came and they took him away and he's going to get 3 to 5 and they thanked me for being, and the woman was very thankful and she said, oh, thank you so much. You know, I really appreciate it. I'd feel like the good guy. I was glad I jumped in. Maybe it all boils down to the external circumstances that we deal with today, where we have such a corrupt and upside down system that punishes the good and lets the bad and evil people off scot-free. Maybe when you're in that situation, it's better to be the bad guy. Don't be a good guy. And then when women say, oh, where are the strong men to help save us? And where are the men to... Maybe we just say, well, you voted for it. You voted for these policies. You voted for these politicians. You voted for this to happen. Now you deal with it. Like, you're on your own. And while I don't always want to dive into politics, and I don't, I am going to touch on this just a little bit because this is kind of the same point. You know, here in the United States, Zohran Mamdani is a socialist / communist that might possibly, and is probably, with the betting odds at least, he's more than likely going to be the next mayor of New York. And here's a woman, I'm not going to play the music because this has cringe music, but here's a gal dancing around and cheering. She's very excited because she just voted for Mamdani. She said, here's how it feels for voting for our future mayor after my landlord ripped our Zohran, if I can say that right, Zohran Mamdani yard sign in half. Now, why did the landlord rip it in half? Because he's going to freeze rent. Mamdani's going to freeze rent. And if you know, I'm not going to get into all the problems with rent freezing, but basically when you freeze the rent and inflation keeps going up and taxes keep going up and maintenance costs keep going up, but you can't charge your tenants more, at a certain point, it's not profitable for you anymore. Oh, your dishwasher broke? Tough. I don't have the money to fix it. Oh, you got a leak? Leaky faucet? Tough. I don't have. And they just let the buildings rot. They just let them go into state of decay. So, what really ends up happening is the people are paying the same amount of money year after year, but the quality of the building and the condition of the building and the other tenants, they go down in quality. And before you know it, you're living in squalor. Or they just let the buildings rot and get condemned. And they say, well, I don't have the money for it anymore. I'll just let it get rotten to the ground. And then when it gets condemned, I'll end up selling the property and somebody will be a slumlord and maybe they'll come buy it off me. But anyway, so she votes for all this stuff. She's very excited. And the same thing right here. This woman, Allison's like, oh, I'm just so proud. I voted for Zohran Mamdani. And this is the reason why I bring this up and the reason why I'm talking about this is because Zohran Mamdani, he wants to take $1 billion from the police budget and move it to social services. So when something happens, the police will not be there to save you. The police will not be there to harm you from the guy that wants to grab you and do things that you would really hate, ladies. Trust me on that. They're going to defund the cops by $1 billion, but they will put it into social services. Now, I'm not going to bother playing the video. I've listened to it. It is what he says. It's just him being interviewed by this lady. And basically he says, well, we're going to take $1 billion from the police. We're going to give it to social services. So the police won't be there to protect you, but after something really bad has been done to you, a social service worker will come by and, I don't know, give you a kit to test for what the bad guy did to give to the police, or maybe they'll give you a shoulder to cry on over what the bad guy did to you, but they're not going to be there to arrest or stop the bad guy. The other thing that's ironic is, Mamdani, here's some of his policies. End cash bail. That means you get arrested for a felony, you're out. You're out until you're waiting for your criminal hearing, which means you get to go out and do more felonies and hurt more people and do more bad things. Re-enfranchise incarcerated New Yorkers. He wants to empty the jails. I mean, he's made it that simple. Repeal all mandatory minimum sentences. There is no more minimum sentence. It's whatever the judge wants to do, as long as it's not too harsh, because he wants to repeal felony bump-up statuses. Now, if you're wondering where I'm getting this information if you're just listening, I'm reading it from his posts on Twitter. He wants to repeal sentencing enhancement, and he wants to end cooperation with ICE, which means more illegal immigrant criminals. And I have a whole list of all the things he wanted to go down through. But another thing that was really big, and I won't get into the financial part of it because he'll end up breaking the back of New York City anyway, but he does want to defund and redirect police funds, and he wants to empty the jails. He wants to move the population of Rikers Island from 7,000 down to about 3,300, meaning he wants to release about 4,000 prisoners. Now, why am I talking about this? Because this directly goes to the safety of women and of society. He's going to dump 4,000 criminals from Rikers back on the streets and defund police. So what do you think happens when these girls are crying because bad guys are doing something and they say, where are the men to protect us? Where are the men to save us? Why should we? You directly read his policies, because these policies have been on his Twitter account or his X account for the last 5 years. He's telling you what he's going to do. You vote for him. So shouldn't our answer be, well, this is what you wanted? Why should I save you from your own stupid decisions? This is the real kicker for me, and this is something I just asked AI to scroll through real quick. And he wants to deprioritize misdemeanors and refocus police on felonies, that he doesn't want to pay attention, and he wants to aim to end all prosecutions for misdemeanors, okay? Now, here's some misdemeanors that would directly impact women, and it's no longer going to be even considered a crime in New York City. Forcible touching. Intentionally and forcibly touching another person's private or intimate areas, groping on public transit, for example, for gratification without consent. That's out. If a guy does that to you on a subway car, ladies, it's not a crime anymore. You just voted for that. SA, right? Harm in the third degree. Subjecting another person to contact, unwanted fondling, or kissing without consent, where the person cannot resist due to surprise or other factors. That's no longer a crime. Criminal obstruction of breathing or blood circulation. In other words, if he grabs you and chokes you until you pass out, ladies, and then he touches you, not a crime anymore. Third degree assault, not a crime anymore. So you can get slapped, you can get punched, you can get kicked. If it results in pain, swelling, or minor abrasions, nope, sorry, ladies, that's no longer a crime. Menacing in the third degree, stalking in the fourth degree, harassment, aggravated harassment, none of that matters anymore. Under Mamdani's policies, those are no longer crimes. And she just voted for this. And then when people do things to her and she doesn't like it and makes her uncomfortable and it makes her feel safe, and she says, where are the police? Well, they defunded the police. Well, where are the men to stop these men from doing it? Well, why should men stop them from doing it? It's not a crime anymore. You voted for that. What do you want us to do anymore? That's genuinely my genuine question. What do you want us to do when you just go out there and you vote against this stuff? Time after time after time, I really believe, I don't know, 80, 90% of men out there, they want to do the right thing. They want to protect society. They want to protect people that are more vulnerable than they are. That means men want to protect little old ladies and young women and kids and all the rest of it. We want to do the right thing. But now we've got criminal cases and lawsuits against men trying to do the right thing. We've got cops going after people doing the right thing. We got the justice system going against men doing the right thing. We have women like this that will cry and complain that a man did the right thing, but he didn't do it in the right way to make me feel safe. We've got women voting to have more criminals on the streets and to be able to do these bad things. And then at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, what do I do? Do I go with my instinct? Do I help the community around me? Am I going to be a strong man that makes bad times better? Or do I just step back and maybe do a case-by-case analysis? Or do you just retreat into a different area of your country, or in our case, a different state, and say, well, good luck, New York City. Good luck, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Portland, Memphis, Baltimore, Chicago. Good luck, all you places. The good guys are leaving. You're going to be left with all the problems, and we're just going to sit back and watch it happen. Maybe that's where we are today. I don't know. I don't think it's a good thing. Like, this is not the country I want to live in. It certainly isn't. But how do we make it better when every opportunity and every chance we get to try to make it better, we're punished for it, or at least at most not appreciated? But we certainly are putting ourselves at risk for people that are not very appreciative. And even if they would be appreciative, are there enough strong men around to still have your back? Or as you go to try to, help somebody or save somebody, are they just going to be sitting there filming you on their phone as you end up getting yourself ended, try to save somebody else? I don't know. I don't have the answer. I don't think this is something that there is a right answer for. I think it's something that maybe is either situational, based on where you live or your own risk assessment, and how well you'd sleep at night if you just let society go to pot. I don't know where it stands, but when society seems to want this so bad and punish good guys for doing the right thing, they don't seem to leave us a lot of options. That's certainly the way it feels to me. Guys, if you like my work, make sure to join us over at betterbachelor.locals.com. We got a great community of like-minded guys, a community that is growing and becoming more and more popular. Lots of guys over there to hang out with. It's $5 a month. It puts us behind a paywall. It lets us do what we want to do. I'm the only moderator over there, and we can do certain fun things like live streaming classic, underrated, nostalgic television, where we watch old TV shows from anything from anywhere from the 1950s all the way up through the 2000s, before TV got woke and awful. And we just we hang out and talk about current events. We also do movies most weekends. We do a movie night. Sometimes we watch UFC. If there's a numerical UFC pay-per-view, we'll sit back and watch that. We watch some sports ball, a little bit of football. We have a great time. So if you guys want to come check it out, hang out with the rest of us, come on over, check it out. It's $5 a month, $50 a year. If you end up liking it, you get a little bit of discount. It's only $4 a month. So come on over. Appreciate it if you'd come check it out. At least give it a holler. And if you don't have anything to do on weekends or weeknights, and you find yourself wishing you had a couple of like-minded guys to sit back and roast and laugh and have a good time with, or just commiserate about the way of the world, come on over. We got a great community of guys, and I think you'll be glad you did. All right, guys, we'll leave it there. We'll see you in the next one.